We'll begin this with 3 bells. Take a deep breath in and out with each bell, and then just listen to the tone as it sustains and fades away and leads you into this mindfulness. Hear that bell resonate. And today I want to talk for a moment about how we're all connected and how it's important to recognize that. It's been on my mind these last few weeks. I've had some problems with the hip, finding out I need to have surgery, and until I can get to that, I'm in a lot of pain and need a lot of help. But I'm a person that likes to believe I can do everything. So if my son asks me, would I like a ride to the surgery? I say, no, I can figure that out. Please don't bother. And I've started to realize how when I do that, I'm not giving people the opportunity to help who want to. So I'm trying to work at doing better with that. And in the middle of that, I read a quote just the other day that I want to share. It says it's stinginess of keeping everything to ourselves and holding it all back is born out of the ignorance of our interdependence, not realizing how we're all connected and how our lives are embraced and sustained by the kindness of all beings. It is turning away from connection toward isolation. And we need to remember, as we turn away from others, we also turn away from ourselves. And we try in this practice to, first of all, not turn away from ourselves. In fact, to turn toward ourselves. There's a way in which we all think we're so selfish. We're always thinking about ourselves, what we need and what we want. But in reality, we don't very often really just look at what's going on within us. We don't pay attention to our breath. We don't pay attention to our thoughts, though we might let our thoughts rule us. And when we turn away from ourselves, we turn away from others. And when we turn away from others, we turn away from ourselves. We turn away from seeing how we're all connected. When we sit quietly together here in this room, just breathing silently, we've laughed, shared our struggles, our joys before we do this exercise. But I always feel that what we share with each other that makes us feel closer really is as important as sitting silently together, that also connects us. It lets us feel we're all together in this, that we're all alike. We all breathe. We all have trouble when we choose to try and pay attention to our breathing. We all have thoughts and emotions. They're always playing in the background. Sometimes they're joyful. Sometimes they're frustrating and upsetting. But we're all similar in that way. And we're not treating ourselves properly when we don't acknowledge when we're struggling. I've found myself these last few days when people ask how I'm doing, I say, I'm fine. It's not bad. And what I really want to say is, I hurt so much. I can't even take one step without feeling some pain. Which is not making our connection to other people and not giving them the gift of what's true in this moment. They don't have to think very hard about where that comes from. My dad had serious back problems that he'd never talk about. And then suddenly one day he'd be gone. My mom would say, well, his back has been bothering him. He's in traction right now in the hospital, which was frequently how they treated backs in those days. So it's no surprise that when I'm hurting and people ask how I'm doing, I say just fine. But I'm not giving them the gift of honesty, the gift of letting them know what's happening with me. I'm withholding and stepping back from our connection. And I'm also taking away from people's ability to give themselves. We all want to help people that we care about, or even just strangers that we see need some help. And we wouldn't think of turning away a Christmas gift that someone gave us. But when someone gives us the gift of saying, can I help you with that? I can carry this into the kitchen for you. I see you're having trouble standing up. Or my son offered to take me to the surgery. Again, I did not want to trouble him. And then I realized it was something he wanted to do rather than my first impulse, which is to say, I'm fine, no thanks. What I found is that's not really my first impulse. My first impulse is to say, yes, please. In the same way, if someone asked me for help, I'd say, of course, what can I do? But as I pay attention to my thoughts and my beliefs, what I want to put forward as what kind of a person I am, that person that doesn't need any help, that's always good. And that's what comes up first. When someone asks if they can help, the first thing I think is, you're that person that doesn't need help. So of course you want to say no. Or if I respond honestly and without even thinking, my answer is, yes, please. I need some help. The same as when someone asks me for help. And sometimes my thoughts enter into it. I saw someone as I was driving. In fact, I was driving from just having seen the doctor about my hip. And I saw someone limping along the side of the highway. They put out their thumb at the last moment. And I was traveling quickly. It was too hard to stop. But I also thought they look a little like I might not want to pick them up. I was judging them for that. And you would think after having just come from the doctor about some problems I had with walking, I would want to do that. But I continued on my way, feeling bad that I hadn't helped him. Whereas if I'd just picked him up, I wouldn't have carried that with me for the rest of the day. So that withholding, that ignoring the connection we all have, as I say, that it comes from thoughts and beliefs. And you can pay attention to that sometimes just as you sit and breathe and see your thoughts come up. how hard you may be on yourself if you feel an ache in your back as you're trying to sit straight, and the things you might say. Buck up. You need to just deal with this. As I often say in talking to people who are especially struggling with mental health or depression, we say things to ourselves, such as, it's just that you're weak. You just need to get yourself together. And you're not going to be weak enough to take medications. Just make up your mind to feel better. Things that we'd never say if our best friend came to us and said, I'm feeling really depressed. We'd let them know that we cared about them, and that we hoped they'd do whatever they needed to take care of themselves and offer to help with that. Instead, we treat ourselves worse than we'd treat our friends or a stranger. And if we can just not get into that thinking, not berating ourselves, perhaps you might find that just taking in deep breath takes you into that same place you find here, where we turn back on ourselves and are clear about what's happening. And we accept or give that gift of assistance. I knew someone who said that ability, and actually the willingness to respond to something when a person needs us, doesn't come from thinking. I said, if you're walking along the street and you see a child run out into the street in front of a car, you don't pause to think, should I help them? Before you even think, you would reach out and run to grab them and pull them out of the way. And so I'd encourage, the more you can do that, to not let your thoughts interfere, fill your mind with all the reasons not to do something, but to let someone help you if you need it, to ask for help if you need it, and to give help to those people who need it from you. That's what you'll find too, is that it gets easier. You do it once, and you find out nothing bad happened with that. I'm glad I did that. I got the help I needed, or they got the help they needed. And the next time, it will be just a little easier to be kind and to help. It's kind of like setting a pebble rolling down a hill. Once you start it, it keeps going and it picks up speed. Once you drop your defenses, drop that picture of who you want to be or you think you should be, you can just begin to be who you are and to respond to people as they need it, and to respond to yourself as you need it, treating yourself with the same kindness you do others or a stranger. And this can be born out of this mind that we step into when we pause for a moment, go a little quiet, listen to our breath. Don't let our minds run the show. We can either just let it go in the background like a TV in another room, or we can listen to it and say, I'm not going to get involved with those thoughts right now. I see them for what they are, and I'm going to respond with what I need or what others need, what I know is the right thing to do. Just like with a child running into the street, they'll always know the right thing to do. Feel your breath, breathing in, breathing out. And feel how your heart opens up too with this breathing. And how your willingness to acknowledge the fact that we're all connected. That right now, the group of us sitting here will soon open our eyes and we'll look around, and everyone will have brighter eyes and a smile on their face. And we will be able to take some joy in what we just shared. You can do that if you're listening to this or sitting in mindfulness by yourself. When you open your eyes, just see everyone and everything around you as people that are connected to you and people that you want to support and be supported by. I'm going to ring the bell and we'll take 3 deep breaths and then go ahead and open your eyes.